I learned so much from my students that come all over from Southeast and Central and Asia, and it's just a real honor to be here. It's sort of a hard act to follow after the day because it's like everybody has said everything that I might have wanted to say. And so what you might be hearing now is a little bit of a refresher. I promise that I will not be too long so we can all go home and hear the other speakers who have probably far more interesting things to say. I, first of all, repeat what other people have said, that there are great opportunities for data-driven journalists here in Asia. And I say that because many media, especially traditional media, not the online Rapplers and the Thomson Reuters, but traditional media are not embracing and taking advantage of a lot of the opportunities that come with data journalism. In some ways, there's not a pressing need to go that route because, well, sales are traditionally fairly strong in legacy media. Most media have not felt the pain that Europe has felt and that North America has felt with fewer readers, fewer viewers, the exodus of advertising. You haven't felt that pain. So there's not the same necessity that they're feeling in Europe and in North America to embrace data journalism, to engage readers in a more full manner. As a result, a lot of papers are still relying on the written word for their numbers and data. And these are just stories that I've taken in the last 2 weeks from newspapers in Manila. And all the yellow that you see highlighted there are words that have numbers in them, or data. They're numbers, data. And as an audience, as a reader, especially for our younger students here, that's boring, isn't it? Yes. It's boring. You don't want to read that, do you? No, I don't blame you. And because by themselves, if you look at those articles, numbers and data have absolutely no meaning. They're meaningless. They're just column inches of black words on paper, on brown, sort of yellow paper. It's not really providing much of a service to the public that data journalism would provide. If you think about it, what data journalism really could do is to, and this is a quote from 1922, bring light to hidden facts and set them in relation to one another. That was Walter Lippmann back in 1922 in Public Opinion. Set the data in relation to one another, and that's what data journalism can do. And if you think about what a journalist is in 2013, this is what you are, all you young students that are in this room. You, in fact, this was Philip Mayer in Precision Journalism, 11 years ago, described a journalist as a filter, a transmitter, an organizer, an interpreter, a gatherer of facts, deliverer of facts, manager, processor, and analyst of data. That's what you are. That's what a data journalist is. And in this blogosphere, in this world of citizen journalism, I would argue that there's a greater need than ever for journalists like that. Journalists that can compile information, can clean it, and can connect it to things that matter to us and to your audience as members of society, so that they can make decisions about how they vote or what they want to do about their environment, that kind of thing. So data visualization supports the story. It helps to identify trends, stories, and makes the connections that certainly Irene's project has done so beautifully, that are not obvious through narrative storytelling techniques, things where we go and interview people, but the data takes it, ramps it up. The result is that data journalism are supported and enhanced by charts, infographics, maps, timelines, and many of them these days, increasingly so, are interactive. So if you look at the Guardian website, you have a lot of interactive infographics and data on their web pages. And again, they support and they enhance the story. And they connect the data. The data is there for a reason. It's not there for just because it looks pretty. Pretty is not good enough anymore. So data journalism is so important too, because what it does is we have all this information on the web. You could go crazy trying to make sense of it, but it helps to make sense of jumbled information in a crazy world, crazy world. It also speaks to different audiences. Some audiences like to read narrative stories. Other people are more math-oriented, or they like to see charts. Other people like to click and find out what the story means to them. Data journalism can do all that. They can provide people with a personal experience, it's really important to civil society that we in fact move in this direction as we become more sophisticated. But the problems, the barriers, and there are some barriers. It's important that we embrace data journalism, but my goodness, there are some real big fears out there. If I had $1 for every time I had a student say to me, or a journalist said to me, I went into journalism because I don't like math, I bet you every professor in this room could retire. We could all go on a big trip, because we hear that an awful lot. One of my missions is to demystify numeracy, to make people comfortable with numbers, because it's really not numbers, it's logic, it's critical thinking, and that's what you have to apply to data journalism. I'm a grade 10 math dropout, confess it. I confess I'm horrible in math. I see numbers and I go, but I've taught myself how to look at the problem and just to go through it in a logical manner, so that in fact I am relaxed when I look at it and I say, okay, what does this mean and why should I care? So it's really important that we pay the same attention to data and to numbers. We interview our numbers, we interview our data the same way that we interview people in authority. When we do interviews with people, we ask them questions, we have to ask the same questions of our numbers, and that helps to tell the story. So there needs to be training, there needs to be knowledge, so that people feel confident when they see on how to make a spreadsheet, what to do with all this jumble of numbers. So training is very important. And you're very fortunate that you've got Irene with you tomorrow to help take you to the next step, to help demystify some of this, and to show you the great, exciting possibilities that you can mine in order to get better stories. So I mean, you're very, very fortunate, and I would encourage not only universities, but also newsrooms to do that, to take the people like Ravi who have an interest in this kind of thing, and have him mentor someone like me, and bring me along. So the various interactivity involving data visualization really is a team sport. It's called a team sport. Rich Gordon from Medill School of Journalism in the States says it's a team. You've got the journalist and the designer and the developer. And that's grown a lot from when I first started in journalism, when it was the nerd in the corner who used to get excited when the public accounts would come out, and they would start going through all the public accounts, and there was no database, there was no Excel, and he was doing his own charts. And so now it's more so that in fact you use the computer-assisted reporter, and they're making pretty usable, interactive data that we can all use and understand stories in a big way. So we have to develop the capacity in our newsrooms, in our teaching staff, among our students, and the skills of our team. So search out the people who have the natural talent, the ones who are find data and numbers kind of interesting. people like Irene. And also, I think for it to succeed in a newsroom, a lot of newsrooms start off with, we're going to do data journalism, we're going to do graphics, we're going to do all this, and they have a champion, and then the person leaves and it falls by the way. So you've got to develop a long-term champion who can keep us all excited about this and keep pushing us to learn new things. And it really is, when we think about data journalism, it's a long game we're playing. Because we are in a world of disruption, we can't hold on to the past any longer. We can't be that old text-based media anymore. And there are media that are taking advantage of this. The Star here in Malaysia, other media, Rappler, they're adding graphics to make context and value to stories. They can take it further. They can do hyper-local. They can do more interactivities. But we really need to think about these people here, the people on this screen. They're the people that we're going to be writing for, not dinosaurs like me. We're actually communicating with people who grew up with tablets, with cell phones, playing computer games, who think and are wired in a completely different way. So in order to do that, part of their life, in fact, is data journalism, stories with data in it. And it could be a really exciting future for Asian newsrooms, for Asian media. We just have to get over our fear and embrace it.